At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in Healthcare Informatics, Digital Marketing and Analytics, Business Analytics, or Financial Analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
The Friars Club, an American icon, especially in New York City, where every actor, every major, Frank Sinatra, everybody was there. And with us today is Mark Simone, another American icon of radio and television. Works at WOR and with the Mark Simone Show. Works with Larry Kudlow on Fox Business, and a member of the board of the Friars Club. Well, Mark Simone, what the heck happened? Can you tell this to everybody?
Yeah, it was the most beautiful private club. You know, New York has the greatest private clubs, the Metropolitan Club, the University Club, and they're kind of, stuffy, old school. Friars Club, as you say, was Frank Sinatra was the president. It had everybody you could imagine. Milton Berle, George Burns. Jimmy Fallon joined the Friars Club because he idolized Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson was in the Friars Club. And he was in it because his idol was Jack Benny, and he was in the Friars Club. And of course, everybody knows the Friars Club roast, and it was that dining room was the most fun thing in the world. It was all great comedians and comedy writers, and it flourished for 110 years, 115 years, but then it fell into the wrong hands, and the wrong people rose up and took over, and all the great people on the board, like you and others, all left, and they were the worst people to run the club. The proof is, after they ran the club for a couple of months, it was gone, completely gone. They lost the building, lost the name, and it doesn't exist anymore. Very sad.
Very, very sad. And now you have some new revelations. We talked the other night, and all of a sudden you found on the website. Tell all our listeners what you found on the website.
Yeah, the clubhouse was a beautiful old townhouse on 55th Street, and the walls of the Friars Club had the most beautiful memorabilia, pictures of everybody in show business, autograph pictures and portraits and busts of Sinatra and Ed Sullivan, and just very, very valuable memorabilia all over the walls. All of a sudden, people are sending me this auction house in California is auctioning off all of this memorabilia, everything that was on the walls, everything that was in the Friars Club. Now, I don't know who has the authority to auction this off. As I say, the club closed, went out of business, it's gone, and it ended badly.
And I understand some hedge fund had the mortgage on it and foreclosed on the entire building. You think it's them that's selling it?
It could be, yeah. It was one of those mortgage companies. They seized the building, and but I forgot to mention, at the end of this awful run of the Friars Club, the bad people at the end, U.S. Attorney's Office came in. They raided the place. People were indicted in this thing. So I don't know who took all the memorabilia and who put it up for auction. I don't know who has the authority to do that. I would assume it belongs to the members of the club, not a former employee or a former member. So we don't know who's auctioning it off.
Well, would it be part of the building, or did it belong to the old members?
Well, I know you're the real estate expert. If somebody took possession of the building, a mortgage company or something, don't they have the rights to the contents if they're still there?
It's possible, but I think we should look into it.
Yeah, and the people who screwed up this club at the end, I don't think they would have left that stuff in the building. If they had abandoned the building, I'm sure they took the stuff with them, and we don't know who put it up for auction. But I don't know how that auction house verified the ownership of this stuff to auction it off.
Now, some U.S. attorney a few years ago indicted some of the individuals. Do you remember the name of the U.S. attorney that indicted those individuals?
Yeah, well, it was a couple. It was Preet Bharara, and then the case was finally done by a great U.S. attorney. Jeffrey Berman was his name, Jeffrey Berman. But they raided the club. People left there in handcuffs. It was It was quite an episode. I mean, all the great members were gone by then. All the top people on the board, like yourself, had left. They didn't want to be involved with the bad people. But it was just the saddest story. Somebody should do a book about this whole thing and just create a record of what happened there.
And so the website, there's a website out of California with everything that was on the walls. I looked at the website the other day, and they even had Jack Benny's violin.
Yeah, well, nobody's sure if it was Jack Benny's violin. Again, some of these people run in the club at the end. Who knows? I think it's called Lawrence Auction House, and it's an auction house in Beverly Hills. And they specialize in comedy stuff, things from comedians. If you Google Friars Club auction, I'm sure it'll come up. And there's a lot of people bidding on it. Even the pool table is up for auction. That pool table was originally owned by Milton Berle. He had donated it to the club, and the most famous people in the world use that pool table. But it's so sad. I mean, if Frank Sinatra, Johnny Carson, all the people that ran that club were alive, they would be crying right now looking at this.
Well, I'm crying because I remember sitting there for lunches and dinners, and it was a beautiful, iconic club, and for it to go down like that, it's very, very sad.
Yeah, it was just a horrible. It was a slow death. It was like a year or two or three. The building is still sitting there on 55th Street, totally empty, and I think it's in the hands of the mortgage firm. I think it's up for sale if somebody wants to buy it. But they lost the building. They lost the rights to the name of the Friars Club. And everything was lost. After 110
Simone,
years.
You're one smart guy, and you stay on top of these things. Will you please come back and when we check into some of these items, and let's give all our listeners a follow-up?
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning, and we'll catch up again real soon.
Thanks for having me.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.